This is, I don't go too deep because each framework is very, very deep. And just scratching surface, what is the best, and those kind of things. And let's go to next. And let me start from a conclusion that this is how popular these 4 frameworks is. This is a link, and I'm gonna show you stuff for that. And this show window.
It's going to be React first, right? And then Angular because of legacy, and then a little bit of Vue, and right?
Okay, so this is the React and Angular and Vue and the Svelte, and then Angular.js. So Angular has 2 versions, Angular.js and Angular is totally different things. And Angular 1 is very bottom one, and the most of people never use anymore. And so these are the popularity. So as a conclusion, so React is 82%, and Vue 51, AngularJS 2, 50, Svelte 26, Solid and Lit, and this is 2004, 2003, something like that. So, and also I want to share my presentation so you can download from here.
Thank you.
Sure. And this is the conclusion first. So everybody using pretty much React. It's a huge difference in between React and Angular. And then Vue is coming here at probably 1% of the Stack Overflow question that's month. So that's the trend. And that means maybe a lot of people want to start with a React, and I understand that. So let me explain and take a look at each frameworks. Okay. And what is JavaScript front-end framework is. So let me stop this and go back to my presentation. Here. Sure. So first thing is, this is pretty much JavaScript front-end development tool. And these really rely on Node.js. And the concept of Node.js is run JavaScript everywhere. So if you visit a Node.js website, you see very first is that statement. That which means, so, web developer already knew that web browser can handle only HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, not other languages. Like you can't run PHP directly through web browser. So as a platform, JavaScript is only executable programming language in the web browser. That's very important things. And the concept of developing Node, or they released the Node.js, is use JavaScript as other language, like Python or like C, Java, C++. And a very easy way to explain this is Node, using Node can access file system using JavaScript. So, JavaScript is obviously developed for web browser and cannot access to the file systems. So you cannot access to the files directly through your local or remote. But using Node, you could use JavaScript as a server language as well. So that is one thing that's very important to note, that without Node.js, JavaScript is only capable to access the file through web browser. And what is these four frameworks that is basically component-based SPA development tool. And what is SPA is a single page application. And single page application means you just only load one HTML file and with JavaScript and CSS. And when you click link or do any action, click the button, generate the page accordingly or update the data accordingly. So single page application is if you have a page link and click the page link, it doesn't go anywhere. It just generate a file or HTML document by clicking the action. So let me go to the next slide. I'm going to talk about SSR and SSG later. So this is the components, web page or web application. You have a header and some page links and body elements and another body element footer, something like that. And basically what does is loading HTML, index HTML with main.js. And that's it. Main.js has all JavaScript and also main CSS as well. I didn't put in here, but for the static and other purpose. And you have a page 1 and page 2. So if you click these links, you go to the page 2, things like that. But only that is when you click these links or these usable buttons to do some actions, is generate the page when it's triggered. So that is a single page application, and the component base means everything is built in component of header. Router is a little bit differently to use a component, but it's one of component as well. So you have a link, and then you have a body. This one's body 1 is another component, and the button can be reusable and a different component. So everything put together to make page. And then, so if you click a button and adding some things and doesn't have to reload the page, it will be automatically update some content. So that is the what component, and these applications need to have a data somewhere, such as JSON or from backend using PHP or some other languages, and through API or through SQL database, something like that, and get the data, and those plot is loading with JavaScript. And then when you click some event and then mutate data, I'm going to show you later about those. And the next thing is each component, each framework. So there's a 4, and these are page links. And if you are interested in each, just go to there and take a look at what is capable of. And briefly, each framework, so React, most popular framework and made by Facebook, and it's very scalable. So could do very, very small project, like just one page, for example, making a calculator, something like that, to like a Facebook itself. It's a huge scalable. And it's not too hard, but it's not really easy to hands-on because the concept of JSX. So I'm going to show you later about JSX and how it's a virtual DOM. So JavaScript is mainly update the DOM a lot. So that's how the tag is loaded as a DOM and how you manipulate those DOMs. And so it's a virtual DOM. React create a virtual DOM and render when the action become real DOM. So slightly slow, that people says. And good for collaboration with the team. So that's the benefit of the React. So if you have many people working together and uploading, your Git, so maybe very easy to collaborate with people. And framework is built to collaborate. And next one is Vue. Vue is created by Ivan Yu, individual. And it's very easy to use for small project. It could be expand to large project, but just some limitation, I think. And it's very, very easy and well organized, and people can understand what's going on when you see it. And so good for individuals like freelance to start quick project, even if you are using React to, working with people. So if you use Vue to create a mock-up and show to people, and they're making large scale, a project, something like that. And the next one is Angular. Angular is very, very complex and good for a pretty large scale project and developed by Google. It's very, very scalable, but I don't think it's good for small or individual project. It's a very, very long learning curve. It's very tricky too. So I use Angular JS and a lot of Angular for some project, but it's a little bit pain when just using this with very few people, the team. I have 3 people who develop content management system, and it wasn't so easy. Each people has different, level of understanding Angular, and so it's good for large team. That's I could say. And well, it's people understand working with 100 people together. Angular works the best. That's I heard. I never worked that big project. I never worked for a huge company, so I have no idea. But that's what I heard. And the next one is Svelte. And the Svelte is like a Vue, easy to use for small project and developed by Richard Harris. Yeah, similar structure to Vue. And the very, very first runtime, and it doesn't use virtual DOM, so directly render DOM. And sometimes it's good, and sometimes some people say, it's good to have a virtual DOM, and then compare some, before really actually mounted as a DOM for developing purpose. But so if it's a small project, it doesn't have to really think about it. And Svelte is really like structure-wise looks like a Vue and work like Vue. So if you are individual, build a quick project, or some hobby, whatever you like to do, I'll strongly recommend Vue or Svelte to start. If you never ever use a framework before, and the Vue or Svelte is really easy to understand what's going on. If you never ever use JavaScript, probably it's better to start JavaScript first, understanding what JavaScript can do, and array method, fetch, and other JavaScript function, including like allow function, ES6, those modern JavaScript, vanilla JavaScript. I highly recommend to start with that. And so a little bit about server-side rendering. What it is each framework has a different approach for the server-side rendering. And React has Next.js, and Vue has Next, and these are built in. And the server-side rendering is when you click event, page will generate by one single JavaScript. So it's not good for SEO because page is not there on the server. So when the robot is chasing each site, the page is not there, so you cannot really create or tag by robot. So for weakness about single page application is especially for the SSO. Loading time, SPA is super good because it's only one-time downloading. But so for SSR, server search engine optimization, server-side rendering is the way to go. So people develop those alternative way of how structure the build project. And quickly, what's the difference between server-side rendering and the static site generation? Server-side SSR generates HTML page as a request. So when it's requested and generates the HTML page stocked into the server, so basically robot can find and tag for search engine. And this is really good for update, website very, very often. Like every minute, people like something to update, like a social media or some news site to, constantly updating website. That is really good for SSR. But if you using those framework and not really often need to be, rendered every page is SSG build when your development is done and do the build, and then you can get all HTML page at the same time. So you have one SPA with HTML capability. So, SPA doesn't have any, page yet, but for search engine optimization, SSG create HTML files so they can tag it. So the differences between SSR and SSG is those two different approach. Okay. Any questions so far? Oh, before question, just one thing I want to mention is these 4 frameworks can start using Vite. Vite is the proper building tool, bundle tool, bundle JavaScript, HTML, CS together to make a single page application. So it's a powerful compiler and a development server for local development. So if you want to develop these 4 frameworks each has some boilerplate to start with, but the bit has full, native boilerplate to start with, so it's easy to start bit. Okay, any questions?
Yeah, Victor had raised his hand first. So I'll let him.
Oh yeah. So I worked with the Elixir framework in the past, and where I learned that like CRUD, like creating, updating, and deleting. So like the process in creating that and also using like a WebSocket, like that framework was like super easy. Like all I had to do was like type in the console phx something, like some kind of command, and automatically it would like create like all that for you. So I guess because I've never used React, like any of these frameworks before, like, so is I guess I would like to know if these frameworks is it as easy as of a process in creating like CRUD and like WebSockets, I guess.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, that does make sense. And compared to vanilla JavaScript, so for example, every single time you access to DOM, you need to refer like document dot what was the code to access the DOM, like a get element by ID or get element by something, right? You don't need to write those code anymore. Automatically access to the HTML by using curly bracket. I will show you the code later if we have time. And so to develop using vanilla script, getting very, very messy when you starting writing code with HTML. So which one is what does what, and the application gets really messy with just vanilla JavaScript. That's why people starting using frameworks. It already has some sort of a structure and easy to access and easy to manipulate. Easier than just a vanilla script. So everything is just out of box, and you can use it as like a template. This answers your question.
Not really, to be honest.
Okay.
But I see. Yeah.
Okay, maybe I will show you some code.
I think that's all right. I think I could maybe explore these frameworks on my own time. Yeah. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Sure. Sure.
Yeah. I have a question just generally about
yes.
So as far as ease, thinking about like of the frameworks, I mean, I know obviously React is very popular. I don't know if that's something that you could speak to a little bit as far as what the adoption is for the different frameworks, and maybe if you see any trends. So yeah, just that.
Oh, definitely trend is React. And the user of React is including like a large scale corporation and Angular too. So those people are using it. And if you individual, like a freelancer, it's very few as a survive as a freelance web developer. A lot of people are working for a company. So that's another reason of the trend. So if you working for a company, you have to use React if a director said. And from my opinion, those 4 frameworks, if you know well about one framework, it's very, very interchangeable. I learned Vue and I love Vue. I use Vue very, very often, but I understand React because of Vue knowledge. And I understand Svelte because it's very similar structure as Svelte. And Angular is a little bit tricky, but I still understand what try to do, differences between Vue and React. So if you are good at the one framework, whatever it is, it's easy to learn other three, super easy. And the first thing is very little bit harder for everything, right? If you learn something new, it's hard. But once you getting hands-on to it, next thing is much, much easier. Like a language. If you speak 2 or 3 language, fourth language is super easy because you have already the mentality to adapt another language, and easy to, you can use your brain differently, adjusting by those differences. That's answering your question.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
But as far as so I was thinking from the standpoint of certainly what companies are using, and also from the standpoint of the skill sets that people are adopting. It's obviously geared towards React. But I've worked at large companies and they use Angular a lot, like you mentioned. So
yeah,
that was important as well to be hired at one of those companies. Samuel has a question.
Okay, thank you. So I wanted to know, if I am correct, Svelte does not use a virtual DOM. So does it make it faster if they are not using virtual DOM? Is it faster?
Oh, virtual
than React?
DOM.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's only developing purpose. You could test with the virtual DOM. So when it's deployed, it's everything is never have virtual DOM. It's just only for the developing. And slightly developing speed, if it become large scale, a lot of bundle file. So, and I mentioned a bit at the end. Right now, I think it's showing the bit screen. And bit is really nice server for every framework. And I would strongly recommend Bit because even with virtual DOM, Bit works really fast. So before, a lot of compiler for development, like a local, building local server and access local host column, like a 700 or 300, something like that, right? And then you use a lot of experiment and compare how DOM works. So, access to DOM and the manipulate DOM is most of the time JavaScript does. So adding something to, for example, e-commerce site, shopping cart, how much object need to be moved, or how to show is in your cart, shopping cart. Those virtual DOMs work really like one step to actually implement the DOM. So you could, check your developing tool at your browser, and you can check the speed, things like that. Once it's deployed is done and built and deployed to web server, you don't see anything. So it's more like how you develop. Yeah.
Would that basically make React better for collaboration projects versus Svelte, or?
Yeah, I think so. When you are developing with a bunch of people and the different versions and using Git a lot to collaborate people, sometimes you have to use sometimes different branch to test it out. So yeah. But if it's a small project or a few people working together, it doesn't make any sense for virtual DOM or DOM. It works pretty fast. And if you are interested in those, how React virtual DOM works, where's the website? Hold on a second. React. Okay, hold on. Let me just stop presenting and not Angular. Where's the React? Oh, here. Yeah. Oh, this is React website and the type virtual DOM. Oh, this is a prop. Hold on a second. I saw some virtual DOM things, but yeah, you can go ahead and take a look at this site. You know, a lot of things is here. And this is React. Obviously, this is Vue. And Vue. Get started. So, like that, there's mutating the data. Just clicking, and you know, this is JavaScript code. You know, button and click count ++. So, which case, in the script tag JavaScript part, you don't need to get, you know, like get element by like a button or get element by ID, things like the class. So it's already implemented. So that's a benefit of the single SPA.